First on the play by Blewett. Got his receiver downfield. That's Paul Davis.
If he has good technique, he will be elite. If his technique becomes great, not just good, then he's a Hall of Famer.
Going down again. And it's Q. Quinn Williams.
Fighting through contact, fighting through offensive line, beating a double team, multiple moves stacked into one, just a play of pure domination. This is actual film, it's actual football talk. It's a football show, we're supposed to talk football, not storylines.
What is up? You are listening to listening to another edition of Blewett's Blitz Live. Kyle, did you like your little Kyle Smith on the side right there?
Dude, when I first saw that, I was cracking up. It just flashes at the end.
Right there.
It's bigger
a little right there. You see it on the right side?
Yeah, it's bigger than size 8 font, though. So I'm happy about that.
And it's a little like backdrop of green. It's like it's pretty fancy. So look at you making it.
Yeah, thanks, Nadia.
So what's going on?
So we're fresh back from Carolina, and that was fun, I guess.
I'm just like, my voice isn't completely back. And I said this, I literally just got done recording a 3.5 hour podcast at least probably about 3.5 hours of game review. And I was asking and telling fans, initially, like, if you go to games, please be loud. And Kyle, you saw that like in our section, I was literally screaming at Jets fans that they suck and to get up because they just weren't up and cheering and stuff. So I will ask initially right off the podcast or right off the start of this, if you are going to MetLife, if you ever go to a game, please don't sit on your ass, not clap, not yell. It is a huge advantage. And you saw some of that and you see why I'm still recovering my voice, but it was a good time. Honestly, game. Like we definitely had a lot of fun. So
yeah, dude, we were basically standing for like almost the entire game. And it was funny because like I got in the seat like a little bit before, or you went, as soon as we got in our seats, we had a little bit of time before the game started, and you went to like get a drink or something like that. And I told the people behind me, I was like, we're probably going to be standing like all game. Yeah. Just so you know, like we're a little crazy. And they're like, oh yeah, that's fine. That's fine. And then when you came to the seat, you told them the same thing. And she's like, yeah, he already told us. Did you notice how they left? They probably sat in some other seats because they couldn't see.
Oh, I didn't. Either that or me screaming that you effing Jets fans suck. Either one.
Maybe. Maybe either.
Yeah. No. So it was a good time. Appreciate some of the people who came up and I talked to and whatever else. Jan, Joe, where will you be tailgating? Let's grab a beer. I know I'll be in G. I don't know where in G yet because usually I'm in J1, but the kid I go with on his Jets bus, he is doing like some company thing where he has to go into like a catered lot, wherever the hell it is. So I'll be somewhere in G. If anybody shoots me a DM on Twitter, if you want to email me, joe.blewett@jetsxfactor.com. If you want to, it's an easier email, blewettjoe@yahoo. Message me. And if you want to come by and have a beer or two or tailgate the entire time, the only thing I will say is because it's catered, and the heads are accounted for, it's a BYOBF situation. Bring your own beer and food is the only thing I'll say. But yeah, Kyle, definitely a good time. I hope I didn't scare your wife away and all that, even though she seemed to kind of be laughing at me more than actually being like, okay, I'm getting concerned. But it was a good time. So
you might have scared me more than her because the Joe Blewett that you guys see on Jets X Factor is a little bit different than the one you see at games.
Yeah.
He's much more negative. He was like, it was like half. He's like, we fucking suck. We suck. Game's over type of thing. Maybe you didn't say game's over, but the percentage that you thought we were coming back was extremely low.
Dude, again, and we talked about this after. When you're how many beers did I shotgun in the parking lot? At least 5, 6 probably, plus other beers. And you're watching losing in a hot ass Carolina, like it starts to suck.
Yeah, both you and I hate the Heat. We've talked about this many times, how we prefer the Heat, the winner over the Heat.
Yeah, what's up, chat? Jeremiah Georges, isn't that the linebacker we drafted in the 5th round from Iowa State?
I don't think he had a
George. It was George. John Hassel, Mike, Bruh, Yoshi, Shadow, Hoof says, "What's up, Joe and Ronnie?" Yeah, what's up, everybody? My Jan says my J2 crew will not be around this weekend. I'll DM you. Okay, yeah, dude, definitely DM me. If you're going, like I said, I'm be more than happy to drink with a bunch of Jets fans. That's what I love doing. I get there at 8 a.m. And by the way, if I'm a little bit laggy at any point, my computer is probably screaming right now because I'm downloading a 3.5 hour file. So if I start to jump around a little bit, it is what it is. And then my wife told me the other day that my backdrop and the lighting in my room sucks. So I got a light. I'm gonna get a whole thing. You'll see eventually. But Kyle, today, so it's going to be a 2-hour show. I got work later, so it's only going till about 8, maybe a little bit after, but I can't do much other than that. We are taking call-ins. I don't know how to pin it. Maybe I'll figure out how to pin it, or one of the moderators can. We are doing call-ins for these shows. If we do take a call-in, if anybody does decide to call, sometimes people do, sometimes people don't. 818-573-5427. It's going to be pretty short just because there's a lot to talk about. Kyle, is there any specific place you want to lead this show? What direction? Where do you want to hit this from?
Well, shoot, 2 hours. You figure like
that's enough time.
Like we go 3.5 hours so many times, and now there's so much to talk about with an upcoming game and an actual meaningful game that just happened. Mm-hmm. So I don't really know, man. Like, why don't you, whatever you think is most important.
Okay. Well, I guess there's 36 people in here. There's gonna be more people joining again. It just started. So let's go with, I guess, some more of the negative first, Kyle. The offensive line. We'll do Wilson in a little bit. The offensive line was something that was obviously targeted a lot in the 2 years that Douglas has been here. Now Becton's down. You had Alex Lewis retire. You had Cam Clark, who was a fourth round pick, who's, I think, injured as well right now. So a lot of the depth has gone away. And with that being said, they didn't play well, obviously. I think a little bit more of that came from just blown assignments than it was like strict one-on-one matchups. But there was also some strict one-on-one matchups that got beat. I know Becton got beat a time or two, one or two of them for a sack. I know AVT on one of the last drives got beat. I think it was for a sack or for a hit. Again, I just did 3.5 hours, so I forget everything. But in general, the offensive line did not play well. I think George Fant was probably the worst in the game when he's at right tackle. It was absolutely brutal. GVR had his hiccups. McGovern had his hiccups on that blitz pickup where they ran like that stunt with that linebacker and the nose tackle. And people blame Ty Johnson for that. McGovern has to pick like who he's taking. So like he has to pick who he's taking. Early on into the rep, so Ty Johnson can figure out who he's taking. Like the initial guy blitzed or like penetrated, and McGovern didn't cover him at all. He just had like that drag hand on him, like that hand on him. So Ty Johnson sees a full body coming at him. He picks him up, and then McGovern at the last second decides to pick him up, and then Ty Johnson, they're both left blocking the same guy. It's like McGovern wasn't good. ABT pass game got beat up a little bit. Run game, he was actually pretty solid. Becton got beat up. After that, though, like after the second half, third quarter, they improved a little bit, but for a position that was so heavily kind of targeted and talked about for Joe Douglas, are you concerned? Are you going to chalk it up to some young guys? Obviously, we take the approach of, okay, Becton missed a decent amount of camp. ABT didn't play in one game. McGovern's still getting used to a new system with new guys around him. Like what is your overall kind of 30,000 eye view of this, or whatever the hell that is called?
It's certainly concerning. And like you said, there was just times where they straight up lost one-on-one matchups, and sometimes it was really ugly. I know that Becton, he got beat by a jag, like an absolute jag. We didn't even know the dude's name for a sack when we were talking about it in the game. And
I was watching that play. I was like, I don't know who this is, but it's 90 something. It was 90 something, right?
Yeah, like 98 or something like that.
Yeah.
And there was another time where it was Reddick who had beat him with a nasty spin move inside. So yeah, Becton, again, he still looks much better in the run game than he does in the pass game. But then like Fant got beat as well. There were even times where one thing I was noticing about Moses is he's so light on his kick slide. Like if he were to get hit at like, cause he's like putting like almost no weight on it. Like he's not the most fluid athlete in the world. So like, he's almost like putting very little weight on it at all when he slides back, that like, if he gets hit at the wrong time, like when his foot's like actually like in the air, like he can like really get bowled back. Yeah, they didn't look good at. I mean, so like they did lose one-on-one matchups, but a lot of it was, just not picking up stunts, and guys from Carolina came all over, and guys like Reddick, he's an interesting player. I hadn't watched him too much when I think he was in Arizona to start his career, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. But he kind of plays all over the place. He's a really interesting player, and they definitely confused the shit out of the Jets. And stunt and blitz pickup, I mean, that's something that a lot of it is just communication and just seeing things properly and calling things out pre-snap. So that's something that can be improved on a lot more, as opposed to just one-on-one. Can I beat this guy? So I think that can be improved on from here on out. I wouldn't be concerned that they're going to get their ass kicked on stunts all year, but it does kind of suck that your Pro Bowl caliber, I know you didn't make the Pro Bowl tackle, could be out for potentially, I'm hearing, the entire season now if he gets surgery. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, again, it is concerning because like you hear from the beat writers all offseason, they're getting beat up. They're getting beat up. They're getting beat up. Like now in season, are they going to be able to adjust and are more game planning and like working fundamentals? And especially coming up this week against the Pats, like if there's one person to see your weaknesses on your offensive line and run, stunts and tags and all the stuff that Bill Belichick does, guys peeling off into coverage, like it's going to be tough with that offensive line. They better adjust really, really quickly because Bill Belichick is a genius with that stuff. And and
they got a lot of players that are good at that stuff too. Like Van Noy is really good. Yeah. Coming off on stunts, you could put him at edge and he can rush from time to time. Same thing with Hightower. Like Hightower is an inside linebacker, but you can put him at edge and he can get some pressure sometimes. He can blitz up any gap. I mean, he's a much better blitzer than CJ Mosley. Yeah. Henry Anderson's good at running stunts, so I mean, this is going to be a tough matchup if they don't clean up that shit.
Yeah. By the way, again, call in if you want. There's a lot to recap. So with our shows that are 3-4 hours, sometimes I can get to the chat a lot. I'm going to try to get to some of the chat. But super chats are obviously, they're appreciated, and I guarantee you we'll get to it. But other than that, I'm not going to be able to get to it a lot. I see that my window reads Robbie Sabo. I'll rename it. We use a certain Zoom account that we switched the name for this. So people are like, oh, it's Robbie Sabo. He doesn't look like Robbie Sabo, but his name is Robbie Sabo. So that's Robbie Sabo.
You might as well. Hey, listen, you might as well leave it because he carried you in pool.
Oh, dude. Okay. Sure. Again,
just being honest.
He showed up. How many beers was I deep? But I also had the best shot of the night. Correct or wrong? Am I wrong on that?
Oh, yeah. You did have a sick shot. All right. So Blewett, he had this one shot where he hit the cue ball and it jumped over like two other balls. And then it hit the ball that he was trying to get in and sinked it in the hole to win the game. But you tried that shot. I don't know how many times before that. And sometimes you were just shooting it off the table completely. Okay.
Again, see me play pool completely sober versus seeing me taking ripping Jameson shots. It happens. Sabo showed up late. He was behind. I was drinking all day. So we'll see on a sober matchup who wins that. The offense again, Becton, like oversetting George Fant. Like I like Fant more than some other people, but his 45-degree sets consistently doing that is annoying the shit out of me.
And you know what pisses me off about his pass sets? It's not uncommon that he crosses his legs overs.
Yeah, he had one rep was specifically where he's taking really big steps and crossing over. And again, a lot of these guys who are athletic, they're going to set you up outside and then get inside. Like especially if they know you do that a lot, so they're going to use their speed. Maybe shorten their stride and be able to knife inside after you overset. And that wasn't good. Again, there was a lot of bad, and there were some situations where it was like not just stunts and things like that, but like just alignment and guys just weren't getting picked up. And now you can try to, like, our best guess, like, for some situations, exactly who it is. But in other instances, like was Ty Johnson supposed to chip and release? Was it Griffin supposed to chip and release? Was it Wilson who was calling the protection, did the wrong mic point? Was it McGovern who was supposed to point it out? So like there were so many problems that it was hard to pinpoint. I think it was a collection of coaching, everything that was it was a collective unit in terms of how bad that was. We could the thing that's concerning about it, and people are talking about it a little bit maybe in here, but I am just concerned. I said it when I was just recording the show a little while ago. I would sign up. I would sign on the dotted line right now for the Jets to only win 4 or 5 games this year. Not just because of what they are right now. if that came with me knowing that Wilson will be protected. I don't care if it's the entire offensive line. I don't care if it's the defense that lets up 45 points a game. I couldn't give two shits less. But Wilson getting consistently hit like he is, I see the super chat. I'll get to that in a second. I appreciate it. I'm concerned about him getting hit to the point where he starts to get happy feet. He starts to drop his eyes, et cetera, et cetera. That happens with all the young quarterbacks. And also his health. Because if he has games like he had last game, a couple every other week, if he gets hit like that against the Pats, and then again, maybe in week 4 against the Titans, he's not making it to the bye week. He's not, no quarterback will. He got smacked around all game. And which, by the way, that we didn't really see it like we were high, so we didn't really see it. But that play where Derek Brown sacked him on one of those last sacks, I think it was the last sack. Mm-hmm. The fact that was not a roughing the passer penalty, we're not supposed to drop all your weight on a guy, but you'll have Tom Brady get flicked in the helmet after the play and he gets penalty, is absolutely ridiculous. Like I said, and I saw the penalty on Mac Jones where it wasn't close to that. He gets called just because of the helmet he's wearing. So the refereeing needs to be more consistent in the NFL. So that really pissed me off. But he can't take hits like this. It's just it can't happen. Because that will stunt his development, if not pretty much to like cut it off at a certain point where he just is never going to be what he should be. He needs to be protected. So are you concerned? Like what's that?
Yeah, you bring up a great point. I will say that, I mean, it's only one game, and if you have an entire season of this crap, yeah, he will get happy feet and he will drop his eyes. That's the big problem. But even within this, like, that's one of the things that impressed me most about him is he was getting hit so much this game. And dude, I mean, like that last touchdown drive, man, like despite the fact that he got sacked in the end zone, he still came back and balled. He had a beautiful conversion to Berrios on that 4th down. You know, they were backed up in the end zone even before that. And he delivered, you know, a awesome pass. And that was a great play by Berrios to settle down in that zone. But I mean, like, Zach didn't, you know, even though he was getting beat up really early in the game, he wasn't dropping his eyes. But if it is, like you said, an entire season, it will happen. It's just natural. And it's not even necessarily because he's scared. It's because shit, I know my protection sucks. So I got to move around so I can buy a little bit extra time or a little bit extra space because I need to make a play. So, you know, it doesn't even, that wouldn't even necessarily be a knock on Zach. It would just be, you know, he has a lack of confidence in his teammates. And why don't we go to the super chat?
Yeah. Mike Galiza, I think I'm saying your name right, who is consistently here. Big supporter of both the website and the at least the YouTube streams. He said he gave us $25, which is freaking awesome. Putting towards tailgate beers. Wish I could be there. Mike, one, I really appreciate that. Helps obviously the site out and me out. I will 100% use that for tailgate beers. And the next time you're able to go to a game, make sure to hit me up and check if I'll be there. And then I'll buy you a beer back. So not an in-stadium beer because the in-stadium beers are like $12. So we'll do a beer outside the stadium for sure, Mike. So I really, really appreciate that. But again, you know, Zach Wilson, for a quarterback from BYU who can't perform under pressure and can't take hits, played pretty damn well. Like, and a lot of people talk about this and brought this up, and I think it's true. If you put Sam Darnold and you change teams, Zach Wilson, Sam Darnold, we get absolutely blown out that game. Sam Darnold could not handle that pressure that Zach Wilson could. Now, were there some throws he was fading out of? You know, were there some throws he missed? You know, Jeff Smith on the sideline rolling out to the right. He throws it too far inside. The Elijah Moore 2-point conversion, breaks into the flat, rips the ball down. It's like some of his footwork is getting a little bit wonky, and he missed some throws because of that, like kind of closing his hips off and just overcorrecting with his arm, which leads to obviously inaccuracy. So you saw some of that, but like even some of like the bad plays, like there was one, I don't know if you saw like the sweep play where they were RPOing the backside backer. And the backer, obviously if he bites down, the slant's open behind him. If not, then Wilson hands it off, and he kind of was in no man's land, didn't hand the ball off, went to throw the ball, but the backer didn't bite down enough, and then he took a sack because of a bad read on the RPO. So I saw that. You know, there was some of that stuff, you know, but like the interception that he had, I didn't think it was it wasn't like he got tricked into that. He saw what stick nod they call a squirrel. He saw, okay, safety over top outside, linebacker drifting away from the route. And he just thought he could fit a ball in there. Like he thought that he was going to be able to step in and give it enough touch to go over the linebacker. It would have been a really tight window throw, but it's not like it was a bad decision. He was a little bit overconfident, and he was kind of drifting, I believe, to his left on that play, so he couldn't get his full touch into that. So if he had a clean pocket, might be a throw he fits in. Unfortunately, he didn't. And then the play later in the game, Elijah Moore, when he threw it to double coverage, did you see that play?
I definitely saw all the plays.
Deep down the field.
What route was he running?
Like a deep over.
Oh
like
yeah, I know which one you're
that
talking about.
throw, if he steps into that throw, I think he makes that throw 50 yards downfield, 55, 60 yards downfield.
Yeah, that was a really impressive play, for sure.
But it almost got picked. It's not the throw to Moore down the right side. It was to the left side.
Yeah, it was where the corner retreated really deep late, and he ended up getting his hand on it. Yeah. Yeah,
but in that situation, he literally had to fade away. Where I think it was like a 3 where the over route was coming to underneath the 3 opposite, and he saw that he was gonna cross the face of the middle third safety, and then he had enough balls and confidence to say, okay, I'm gonna fit this ball in here, 3rd and 10 late in the game. But because he had to fade away, it lollipopped a little bit. So people are like, oh, terrible decision, forced it in double coverage. He didn't force anything. It would have been an absurd throw. But with a clean pocket, he makes that. I'm confident he can make that throw, because people talk about, weak arm. Remember that guy? I don't know if he was in the chat or where he was trolling us. Somebody said he didn't have a strong arm. That ball he threw to Moore was 60 yards in the air. Not that throw. I'm talking about the other one that Moore dropped. 60 air yards,
which should have been defensive pass interference.
It hit him on the shoulder. But you still want to see more like crowd that ball a little bit more. But nonetheless, that ball went 60 yards, step up in the pocket. He didn't like crow step. He didn't do any of that stuff, or crow hop, whatever you want to call it. He basically stepped up, planted through. Like he didn't like throw into like a pitcher does from the outfield. So talking about a weak arm, a guy who doesn't even fully step into a throw, getting hit, throwing 60 yards on a dime. Like, put it more outside. He threw a ball 60 freaking yards without fully stepping into it. Like, what are you talking about? So, but other than that, like confidence in the pocket, eyes downfield, playmaking ability. For the most part, some good accuracy. Again, some plays that were flubbed a little bit where the feet weren't good, but he was pressured a little bit, started to feel it. The quick decision making, the quick trigger. Like some of those plays are Davis over the middle, Barrios over the middle on the dig. Ball placement. Like there was at least 2 or 3 balls that game. Guys running over the middle of the field, which, by the way, he couldn't do at BYU because people just watched the highlights and a lot of them were outside. There was multiple times in that game, Kyle, where he's throwing a dig over the middle and there's a safety in the middle or a linebacker in the middle, and he puts the ball either on the guy or back shoulder so he doesn't take a big hit. Like I was really, really impressed with Zach Wilson in that game.
Yeah. By the way, I really liked, I don't want to say really like, but I think the throw to Corey Davis that Davis slightly missed was a good throw too, because he put it only where Davis could catch it.
That was more to me like, so, and I think Vitor from our website pointed out, and I completely agree with it. And I thought the same thing when I watched it. Davis in that situation, he's running deep like that, either has to really cut that flat and start working back towards Wilson, which, by the way, Elijah Moore did on that play too. He just didn't see him. Or he has to drift upfield. You have to make a decision. You don't want to be in the kind of like no man's land of what you're doing. And he threw the ball in a perfect spot where in my opinion, if Davis tracks the ball better, he's not running as hard to the sideline, and he puts some of his momentum backwards and catches that ball, like one of those catches where he kind of fades off the last second, two end catches it, maybe falls down. I think Davis could have tracked that ball better, to be completely honest. So that throw, the other Moore throw, like he, minus a mistake here or there, again, the RPO, he took a sack, that one where he dodged like 13 tacklers in the backfield, didn't throw the ball away or dirt it. Like there were some problems, but putting a rookie from BYU in the situation he was in that game, he balled out. Like if you give that kid a clean pocket and he keeps developing, so people are like out there like, oh, he played an okay game. You don't know what you're watching if you think he played an okay game. Like I was really, really impressed watching back. Yeah. But he was put in situations where receivers were dropping balls. He was getting pressured consistently. Like based on the plate he was given, I couldn't expect much more about watching back on film.
Listen, people might think I might sound hyperbolic, and it could be like a prisoner of the moment type of thing as well. But when watching this game on the coach's film from Wilson, and I saw it in person in the stadium too, and there is something to seeing someone throw live in person that's a little bit different than, watching on TV. And you saw him make several big time throws in this game. Mm-hmm. the thought crossed my mind, and I'm not stupid to think that maybe my bias is somewhat playing a role in this, but I thought, like, just from a physical standpoint, and I'm not talking about from an overall, did he make the right calls? Did he make the right reads all the time? But just from a pure physical standpoint of like throwing the football and moving around, especially when shit is not clean, that was the most impressive game that I saw from a Jets quarterback ever. And now to think about that, Sanchez, forget, I'm not talking about Fitzpatrick or anything like that. I'm just speaking about Sanchez and Darnold. And I know Darnold had some moments, right? Like the Texans game, the Packers game. I know he had an insane throw against the Broncos his rookie year, but I saw more big time throws in one game from Wilson than I like Darnold. I always felt like he had several big moments in those games, but I didn't feel like he had as many. And Sanchez, I mean, Sanchez almost never really had big moments. Sanchez, like, he could throw a couple slants really here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if you agree with me on that. And like I said, maybe I'm being a little biased. But that's just how I felt, to be honest. Like the one throw that everyone really loved about Zach, the one where he gets drilled at the end of the game and hits Mims in the so-called honey hole, so to speak. Like
it was just a blown coverage.
It was a blown coverage, but okay, sure.
I'm just saying in general. Yeah.
But that general area of the field, you would say, yeah, it was definitely a blown coverage. But nevertheless, as eventually the corner realizes that's where he's going, he starts to retreat back. Like, can you think of Darnold really making a throw like that in his career with the Jets? A throw like that? I can't remember him having one like that where he's moving up, getting drilled, and making one like that. I mean, like, I know he can throw.
His arm talent is undoubtedly better than Sam. Sam might be a little bit bigger, like in terms of like breaking tackles, like where guys have more contact, but in terms of like elusiveness, like he's definitely better than Darnold. Like, I don't want to keep getting comparing him to Darnold and stuff, but no, he definitely has much more live of an arm, much more ability to different arm slots, all that stuff. We have a caller. Take him on a second.
Can I say one last thing about this? And I know we have a condensed show today, so I'm trying to be a little bit quicker with things I'm saying and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, going back to the thing that I always kind of liked about Zach, and I said this during the game too. When he started to break the pocket sometimes, Joe, I was like, oh, that's that magic that I'm talking about. Like the touchdown to Davis, the big throw to Moore, a couple times where he got out of the pockets and made like really nice throws. Like we're also seeing a lot more of that too. Like I know Darnold was good at throwing on the run stuff too, but Wilson was getting out and throwing bombs really far down the field too. And that's something that I really liked about him pre-draft. And that was the biggest reason why I liked him over Fields. Anyway, I guess we should get to the caller.
Yeah, we have a guy in the chat who's saying Elijah Moore is never going to be good, I guess, because he dropped 2 balls in his opening game, and he said he's too small. And Antonio Brown's like an inch taller than him, 1, and 2. You didn't watch his college stuff. You just think, oh, he's not going to be good because of his size. Like there's plenty of receivers who are really, really good out there.
That's stupid. But so one thing you pointed out really well in your film review about Moore was he didn't put a lot of effort into his blocks, but there was a couple times he dogged some of his routes in this game. He was not running full speed. He was not selling it. There was one time where he ran a vertical route, or he was supposed to run a vertical route. He wasn't running at full speed, not even anywhere close to full speed. So the corner who was responsible, was able to come up into the flat because he was never scared by Moore on the dry phase of the route. And he ended up tackling Berrios in the flat. The Jets ran the same play a little bit later in the game. Mims sold the vertical route. It's the same exact corner too, if I'm not mistaken. And Berrios caught the ball on the flat and was able to gain a lot more yards as a result. So, but there was at least 2 different occasions in that game where I did not see Moore running his routes full speed,
which is disappointing, obviously. Now, is that chalked up to him being a little bit in his head? Is that a mental thing? Is that he's just gassed?
I mean, he did play a lot of reps. He did, but
there was obviously like the one route over the middle. I forget exactly. There's a throw where he threw to Ty Johnson on that back shoulder fade. Moore did a really good job holding his line, stair stepping, breaking across the middle. He literally had a guy on his shoulder and broke within half a yard, like whipped it off like the tightest route you're pretty much ever going to see on an in with the guy on you. That was a really nice route. He had the route again where he threw it to Davis deep, where he was coming back to attack the ball. So like, there were some plays he was open. That play he made later in the game where he got that reception, where it's off the top of my head, looks like Zach kind of pumped the flat defender bit on it. He threw it behind him. There was a penalty there, and it was taken back. I don't know what the penalty was.
It was taken back. I guess it was probably holding. I guess
I watched all the people who were on the offensive line. I didn't see any holding. I don't know what the hell that was about.
Could have been a legal shift or
something. Yeah. Lester Phillips Sharman just donates $10. We appreciate that, man. Doesn't say anything, but if you want to say something, obviously I'll answer it. But I think that's just a donation to the show, so definitely appreciate that from you. And something else that we mentioned too, like, and I mentioned it plenty of times in the review. There were definitely at least 3 or 4 plays where I wanted to see Wilson just take the easy throw. Even that, was it 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1? It was a play where he rolls out to his right, play action. Croft like blocks and then sits it down, and then Wesco comes out and he's running along the sideline. Wesco is open, and then he doesn't go to Wesco and he throws it back across his body to Croft, so he has to kind of make a tough catch in traffic.
Do you want to pull it up? There's a couple times where I wanted to ask you to pull plays up, but I know we're on a condensed time for today.
I'm trying to see where that one is. Okay, hold on. I'll get to the caller in a second. I promise. If they're still there, I know it's Mike. I know we have a couple of supporters who are Mike. It might be Mike, like Monmouth County, Mike. So,
Mike, who knows your family, Mike.
Mike, who knows probably where I live, Mike. Yeah, that was later in the game, right? That one.
I want to say yes. I mean, like when you pull up the play, I'm going to know what play you're talking about. Sometimes it's a little hard.
Yeah, I got it.
Until I see it.
I got it. Again, I just did a 77 play review for the people out there who are just listening to the live streams, where it's me talking about the game for literally 3.5 hours, talking about the film and etc. This play.
Yeah, I know what you're talking. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's is this 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1? I forget. 3rd and 2. This play, like this is a little one. This is not there's more examples of this, but with it being the 41-yard line, like here, he doesn't know Croft is open at this point unless he checked it and just trying to sell it, which I didn't see with his eyes when I watched this multiple times over. Why he doesn't throw this to Wesco when he's continuing to look at Wesco is weird to me. And then he goes back across his body. And again, like, yeah, is Croft open? Sure. But is this a more difficult catch where if he got his arm in here and punched the ball out, went through his arms to the ball, could have been punched out where when he's looking at Wesco, he's open for a good amount of time and just has to get to the 41. He just puts it, a little bit in front of him right here. He turns forward and gets an easy completion. So like there were some plays like this and there's more throughout the review, but like little things where I think he's just looking for too much.
Question for you. If that's Croft running that route instead of Wesco, do you think he throws it?
I maybe I can't. Obviously, that's hard to guess.
So and this is maybe because Zach throws to Wesco. Zach throws to all these guys. We don't. Maybe he's a little. And this is something we've talked about on this show.
Yeah.
Wesco's not great at transitioning catch after run. He can block fine. He's a big dude. His hands are, I guess, decent for a tight end or whatever. But he's not a great mover. So maybe Zach, I don't know, didn't trust him enough to catch transitioning.
Maybe
I'm just speculating.
I put that a pretty low percentage chance. And somebody commented like Croft has more of an opportunity to run upfield. Maybe again, but that's looking for too much. It's 3rd and 2, get the first down, live the foot on the down instead of throwing across your body, making Croft make more of a difficult catch with a guy. Obviously closing ground pretty quickly. Somebody says call out sick Joe. I guess tonight. No, it is what it is. We got an hour and a half.
Well, I won't. I called out sick I took a personal day after coming home from Carolina. I had perfect attendance for school last year. And then I missed the first day this year.
Dude, I was sitting there on Sunday night. I'm like, I cannot go into work tomorrow night. There's no way. I literally came home, just ate like broccoli, carrots, and salmon for like 2 days straight. And like now I feel good. Like I'm getting ready back for Sunday. But dude, I beat myself up because I went to a wedding for 2 days. I went to Carolina for 3 days, and it was just drinking, bad food. Like I told you, I dropped like 9 pounds the first day I came back after 24 hours being back. It was really bad. So Going to the call real quick again. We'll keep it relatively short. I know this is Mike, who knows my family, Mike, who's calling in. Hopefully it works. I think it's going to work. Who's calling about the protection. Mike, can you hear us?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got
Mike.
you.
Hello. Hey,
Mike,
how's
we
it
can hear
going,
you.
fellas?
All right.
Pretty good.
Yeah, so like I said, I'm just calling in. Good. Like I said, I'm just calling in first to gloat about my Ryan Fitzpatrick pick after I was criticized by Kyle. You know, who's laughing now? And otherwise, I really had a
In fantasy.
I'll let you respond.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
All right. So,
yeah, go ahead,
otherwise,
Mike.
I was calling in actually. Okay. Yeah. I was calling in to ask, so it seemed like a lot of the protection, it was more about protection issues and like kind of, assignments rather than like setting up for the blocks rather than just like people outright missing blocks. So I was curious if you guys had any insight to who might be in charge of, setting the protection for the plays. Otherwise, I'm just going to let you guys go. I know you got a short night. Appreciate what you guys do.
Awesome, Mike. Really appreciate you. I know you're always in the chat, so definitely appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, guys, take it easy.
Yeah, I was kind of curious a little bit about that myself. I don't remember hearing. So you watch a live broadcast game when Tom Brady, you always hear him calling out the mic. And there's a couple other players, Peyton, you'd always hear him calling out the mic. I'm pretty sure Nick Mangold always called out whoever the mic was when he and Sanchez were playing for the Jets. So some teams can kind of differ on that. I currently honestly don't know who's doing that for the Jets. If it is Wilson or McGovern, do you know, Joe?
Yeah, no, and again, that's a good point. Cause and that's the benefit of if you have a lot of time to watch on film and then watch back on broadcast, you can hear things. But no, that's why I brought up in my review, this could have been this guy. This could have been this guy. This could have been this guy. And it could have been that guy. So whoever's fault it is, it sucks. But it's hard to tell exactly who it is. Cause obviously Tom Brady being, 16, 17 years in the NFL is going to do the mic point and set the protection, do all this stuff. Usually with younger quarterbacks, that's why you always heard about Mangold being so good for rookie quarterbacks because he set the protections. But is it a combination? You have some teams who let their tackles, communicate to the center about what they're seeing on their side. If the center can't see, because they have a better vantage point to where they are. Was it a coaching thing? Did they not give him, plays to check out, of? There was plenty of times where he was running play action. The offensive line would block to the left or to the right, like on a slide protection. And there would just be somebody running clean off of the edge and hit Wilson. And typically in that situation, okay, you want Wilson to see it, to notice that his hot, but then the hot would be going the opposite way. So it was okay, so now he's supposed to do play action, look to his right, see that guy hot to the left, where usually your hot would be to your right to replace that blitzer type deal. You know what I'm saying? It's really simplifying it there, but I don't think they set him up to succeed as a coaching staff necessarily. Did he hold the ball too long, take some sacks? Did he not point out the mic or the protections the way he should have? Did they also have problems passing off stunts, guys carrying the penetrator for too long or not picking up the penetrator and kind of being fooled too much by the looper? The McGovern play where, again, he commits to his block way too late. That was not on Ty Johnson today. That was on McGovern.
Do you want to pull that one up since you already brought it up and you're bringing it up again? Yeah,
go ahead. What's up, Jets gang? Shadow, I see you in there. I hope you won your fantasy. Alex Hunt, Fanzin, never seen you. Very good to see that Screen Variety has good quality to watch NFL this year. CD, what's up? Jets gang, Steven Engel. Yeah, Kyle, that I don't know if that's one where I specifically labeled it. Like McGovern and Johnson. I just thought it might have been something else.
Okay, it's not.
Go ahead if you want. If I
it's not that big. It's not that big of a deal. I was just wondering because I was curious. I definitely know what play you're talking about once I see it, but it would be helpful to see it again myself. Yeah,
that's what people and I talk about doing film reviews and stuff. But they'll be like, "Oh, do you? Can you tell me exactly what this guy's strengths and weaknesses are?" Someone was like, "Shit." That was 1,030 plays ago.
Did you say that AVT performed better in the run game or the pass game?
Run game, definitely. Run game, he was pretty good.
Yeah, he even got beat by Morgan Fox late in the game.
One-on-one. I think he kind of squared him up too much. I wanted to see more inside-out relationship on that one. And his arms got kind of forked up, even though he's grabbing the wrist. But again, you're grabbing the wrist That's not really a strong contact point to control a guy's chest to base, etc. And he kind of just grabbed the wrist and never really was able to gain control of the rusher. Continuing on,
I know which play you're talking about where he got forked up, because I also wrote that in my notes. But there was also a play later in the game where he just got beat by like a club and a rip as well. So, and I don't know if one of them definitely went for a sack. The other one might've went for a hit, but yeah, there were times when it wasn't just stunts where he was struggling, where he was just getting beat straight one-on-one.
And there was another play too. I think actually on that play from Wilson where they hit him it was on one of the stunts inside, and Derek Brown put all of his body weight on him, but no penalty. And
by the way, there's the 2 holding calls on big first down runs. There was the one on a jet sweep to DJ Moore that didn't go called. And then there was the game winning play where your boy Delshawn got held.
Yes. And I brought that up too. He got held. And then there was also another one. Homstead gets blocked in the back. He goes to the big gap hard, literally both hands of the receiver on the back, pushes him past the running back, not called. And then the other play, was it Phillips, or there's another one where a guy was clearly like,
it was definitely Phillips at the game-winning McCaffrey run. Yeah.
No, it wasn't. There was another one too then, because I don't know exactly what it was. It was something like mid game where linebacker, safety, whoever it was, had an angle on the running back, and the offensive line's behind him, and you could clearly see him grab his chest, and then the defender get like ripped down, and then he couldn't get to the sideline. I was like, what? Like, how is this not called? Like right on the play side. Like what is going on here? But
by the way, there's definitely a way that you can let me share my screen. I was just Googling it, but we don't have to worry about that right now, but I guess just for the future.
In the future.
Yeah. But
okay,
Elfline had a big hold on Shepard too. Maybe the Jets had, I guess we always kind of notice these things a little bit more when we're watching our team, but it kind of seemed like the calls definitely didn't go in the Jets' favor this game.
Dude, yeah.
I know we had the one, there was the punt where we said that actually is a penalty on our guy, but honestly, that didn't even help us all out because there was offsetting penalties on that play. So we just had to redo the down anyway.
Yeah.
So I can't think like, or we got away with a penalty.
Kind of rounding out to the rest of the offense. I don't necessarily love that the tight ends were targeted like 12 times, but again, are they in a tough situation where you don't have Crowder, you don't have Cole? So let's go 642. Let's go to the receivers. What you think about them? And then we're getting to the Mims conversation a little bit.
This was probably the best game I ever saw Berrios play, to be honest.
Okay.
I know he's had some big moments where he's caught like, some big touchdowns. He's always been pretty good on the scramble drill, but he didn't drop any balls this game. There was one play where I would share my screen right now if I could, where, it kind of, I wrote down in my notes, looks like he's running a 3-cone where, damn, I just need to show the play to kind of show what I'm talking about. But he was really fluid. Like he stems one way. I can't remember if it was inside or outside. Then he cuts out the other way, catches the ball. Then he spins fluidly out to fall forward and catch. And it was a really nuanced route running. And like, it really kind of showed like, okay, this guy isn't the biggest, he's not the fastest dude, but he is quick. And you can kind of see why the Jets like him. And that's what he should be. As a slot receiver, you want a guy who's really quick and has that change of direction. And, let's not forget, he was with the Patriots before he came to the Jets. And the Patriots are known for having little guys like that. Edelman, Welker, Amendola. And the Patriots are huge on the 3-cone drill. And, they had Berrios. And my understanding is they did not want Berrios to leave. I think they cut him and their intention was to re-sign him to the practice squad. And then the Jets ended up signing him to the active roster, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't think they were very happy when, they couldn't keep him. Is this the play I'm talking about?
Yeah, no, that's the play I'm talking about with McGovern not committing. Like at a certain point, like it's feel, it's blocking protections, etc. For Tide, they're running a 2-jet protection, where the center tackle on here are going to slide left, these guys right, and he blocks inside out Johnson. So he has to take the first threat. In Johnson's eyes, okay, clearly number 49 is a freaking threat. I think it's 49. 49 is a threat. So at a certain point, McGovern has to commit either to picking up the penetrator. So Johnson can maybe get a shoulder in and then pick up Shaq Thompson. But at this point, it's way too far in the play for me to now I'm going to take the penetrator and I expect you to pick up the looper. Like he just got to jump on that looper at this point. I know it's a little bit harder of a situation because, he's going to have to work past the level of this guy, but people put this on Ty Johnson. I put this on McGovern. So I don't know what the hell is going on with McGovern in terms of like his stunt pickups and how easily he gets fooled. Nobody was open on this play, by the way, either. But like McGovern has just been terrible with this stuff. Like even if Johnson
was a problem we saw in Denver.
Exactly. But even if Johnson were to be like, okay, I'm going to pick up Shaq Thompson, that penetrator gets directly to Wilson's face. McGovern's not picking him up at this point. There's no way, unless he wrenches him and he's really able to drive that hip kind of out. Then I could see that. But like, dude, like, so people blame that on Johnson. That's not on Johnson to me. He committed to the right guy. But continuing, that's the play I was talking about before.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you. So
moving on, Davis, good game. He had to drop again. He had to play deeper. I think he could have made it. Barrios played well. And then the whole Mims thing. Let's hit on that quick. It's, I guess, not super quick. I'm gonna get to the chat too. I haven't checked in a little bit. What are your thoughts on him not playing?
Well, I think he played 3 snaps, right? Was it 3 snaps?
Three snaps. And now you have to figure Cole and Crowder are coming back this week. He doesn't play special teams. Is he going to be on the active roster next week as a 7th receiver?
So here's my thing. So I tweeted out after the game, and I don't know that my perspective is totally unique. I'm not acting like it is, but so I tweeted out after the game. It was a crime that he only played 3 snaps. And part of the reason I tweeted that is because you did not have Cole and you did not have Crowder. All right. So how many times was Ryan Griffin in the game? What does Ryan Griffin really bring to this team? He's not a good blocker. Okay. You want to go 12 personnel. Okay. You want to have a bigger guy in who can block. He doesn't even block that good. Okay. And even if you want to have Mims in, you can have him in on a running play. Mims is a pretty good blocker he's a good blocker for a receiver. So, and then there was a lot of people really agreed with me. There was one person who replied and said, you can't put him in if he doesn't know the playbook. And it's like, okay. I understand that Mims probably doesn't know the playbook as well as some of these other guys, but you mean to tell me that even if he doesn't have a totally super deep understanding of the playbook, he's going to know what a fade is. Okay. He's going to know what an out route is. He's going to know what a curl is. Okay. There are some plays that you can have him in for where you trust him in that situation, where you want him doing one thing that he does decently well. And to only put him in for 3 plays in that situation where you're missing 2 of your slot receiver guys, and especially, when they were down by so much and you were going more 11 personnel, why is Mims not in? Why is he not in? Yeah. Especially, when Moore was struggling too in the game, you could have took Moore out, give him a breather, kind of let him get, collect his thoughts a little bit too, coach him up while he's on the sideline. It didn't make so much sense to me, man. And then when he gets in, he has a big play. Granted, he didn't need to do a whole lot on that play, but still, he found the hole, made the catch, stayed in on the sideline, got some yards after the catch. So.
Yeah, somebody D said McGovern absolutely should have picked up 49. I don't know if that's the picker. Again, at a certain point, if you're just you have to know your protection, and if you're going to slide left again, 2-jet, he's gonna slide left initially. So if that guy's blitzing right off the right side, you have to trust that Ty Johnson's going to pick up his assignment, and then you pick up the looper. I forget which one was a looper, which one was a penetrator. But if you are going to pick
Thompson was a looper.
Was a looper. Okay, so 40. So if we're talking about picking up 49, he would have to quickly recognize as he slides left that Thompson's showing me his eyes. He's going to loop, and then you pick him up. But you have to pick him up at a certain point. You can't pick him up 3-4 steps into your pass set because then he's already passed you. So at that point where he went to pick him up, it was too late. If it was earlier, yes, pick up 49. But you get what I'm saying. So what's up, KD? What's up, Nick?
But give the Panthers coaching staff credit though, because I think they executed their stunts really well. And they brought guys from many different locations and stuff. And this kind of goes into, your coaching staff and your personnel department working in line with each other. Like they have some of these guys that are kind of really like Hassan Reddick can win off the edge, but he's also really good. He can play, he can drop back and play like, Mike Backer or Will Backer. And he can also do these things like penetrate on stunts and things like that. He's a versatile player, and they picked him up in free agency. And I think that they kind of want this very fluid defense. Notice how much they spin their safeties right before pre-snap. They're not the biggest, the strong, the fastest, the most athletic guys, but like their defense does, I think, confuse people a little bit. And I would say it's a little multiple. And
Yeah,
I would give their coaching staff credit.
I would. And like, listen, a lot of their protections and stuff, did Morgan tip them off? Because like a lot of their stuff was just getting absolutely blown up. So I don't know.
Maybe.
But nonetheless,
there's a reason why teams do that stuff.
Yeah,
as
to be
often
honest,
as they
like,
do.
I don't know if it's because I'm like maybe a little bit more old school the way I think about football, but for them to pick him up, like whatever, but then like the last second number change thing when you're practicing, maybe you're practicing against Thompson, okay, he's whatever he was prior to this, 52 or I don't know what he was. Like the last second 2 linebacker changes the numbers, like I don't appreciate that shit. You know why they did that? It wasn't just, oh, Saturday I just decided to change my number. Like,
by the way,
what it was.
So we're playing the Patriots next week, home opener for us, week 2, Patriots home opener. Think back to 2009, week 2, Patriots home opener, loudest stadium you've ever been to. You said, who did the Jets pick up that week? They picked up, I think his name's Kevin O'Connell, who was a backup Patriots quarterback. They picked him up right before that game.
They didn't pick up Hoyer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, like Kevin O'Connell was never going to see a snap for the Jets. So what did they pick him up for?
I think it's multi-layered with Mims. Like I said that specifically in my review. It's funny. It's already it's recorded. Like the fade stuff in the red zone, like a 9 route. Like I definitely get that, but to a certain extent, people think offenses are more simplistic than they are. Like, hey, okay, on this play, you run a slant. Not always true. Like Golden did a good thing. We have some of the plays of their playbook. Like there's plays like where you call it, like, let's just call it an option route over the middle versus Tampa 2. Okay, if that Tampa linebacker, that Mike Backer, if he drops, you sit it down. If he sits and it's not like a Tampa, just like a regular cover 2, you break outside on like a whip route. You know, if he's going to play off, you run a speed out. If he presses, you're gonna run a square cut out. You know, there's a lot of different variety to the routes in this offense. If you actually look at the playbook, you could break it off multiple different ways: option route, jerk routes, looky routes, whatever it may be. And they give them a lot of options. So my thing is, okay, if Mims is only a guy who could play the X behind Davis, that's the only position he knows, then if you put him at they call it F, if you put it at F or Z, and he runs the wrong route because he doesn't know that position and what the responsibilities are, okay, now in that position where you're reading the mic, now, okay, the mic drops back, so he's supposed to sit it down and he runs like a whip route. Now Wilson puts it inside and maybe it's a pick or he dirts it, and now your offense just lost the play. You know, so I get it from both ways. And this is maybe where Davis in the past kind of insinuated that Mims is not working hard. I don't think it's an on the field thing. I don't think it's a talent thing, but maybe he's not working hard enough, or maybe not working hard enough. Maybe he's like not to be, you know, some people's IQs are smart. Some guys are smarter than others. So maybe he's just not picking up the playbook and they don't want to put him in those situations. Now, do I agree with he needs more than 3 snaps? Yes. But is it as simple as, okay, Mims, go in at Z, run a slant? It's not that easy with this playbook. It's just not. So if he's not picking up, you know, there's guys who know the routes and who are going to be in the right spot at the right time. And if you can't do that, then you sit. But the thing with Mims is like ultra talented. And I'm not taking the coaching staff side, but like this is the problem with Madden and like YouTube highlights. Everybody thinks, and I say this all the time, everybody thinks everybody's development is linear, you know, where, okay, Justin Jefferson in year 2. Okay, Mims should be that. Like he's not going to be as good, whatever. Just like and to compare it to another situation, like Davis brought it up many times. Davis, year 2, year 3 ish of his career. Okay player, but a bust. Not a number 1, not even really number 2. Might not make the roster, whatever it may be. Whatever Titans fans are saying, but something similar to that. Now you look at him year 5, right, for the Jets. We're thinking he could be a legit number 1 receiver who probably just could have had 150 yards and 2-3 touchdowns if he caught a ball and, you know, or didn't have those like 2 drops or, you know, the 1.5, whatever you want to call it. So may Mims take a little bit longer to understand this offense and just offense in general of the NFL, because he didn't have preseason last year. He didn't have the, you know, half the season or whatever it was. This year he didn't have training camp. So may he be behind? Yes. Does that mean he's an absolute bust and they should trade him and get rid of him for a 6th-round pick? No. So I think it's like multi-layered. I don't know. Just respond, I guess. That's kind of my thoughts on it.
I get what you're saying. And hey, listen, how long did it take Corey Davis, 5th overall pick, before he started to show flashes that he was a good NFL player?
Exactly.
So, you know, hold off on the whole Mims is a bust thing. I mean, first of all, he was like the 50 something overall pick, 58. I can't remember exactly what it was.
Like, was it really that late? It was like 48.
Might have been 49, but I think they had the 49th pick in the draft, if I'm not mistaken. I think they traded back and it was in the 50s.
I thought they've traded down from like 38 or 39.
You might be right.
Like
You might be right.
I don't think it was that late.
I'm kind of dumb sometimes. So
I'm also
regardless.
You figured out this weekend. Last weekend.
It was definitely somewhere at minimum in the 40s.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes some guys a little bit longer and stuff. And I started studying the Shanahan offense a lot myself, and there's still a lot more I want to get to know, but some offenses are a little bit more complex than others. And sometimes receivers who've had success elsewhere do struggle in certain offenses. Take case in point, Chad Ochocinco Johnson, whatever you want to call him, Hall of Fame-ish type of career in Cincinnati, went to the Patriots and was a complete disappointment. That's an offense that's known for having a lot of routes that change based on what the defense is doing. And even Eric Decker, and by the way, were these guys both a little bit washed? 59. I knew it was 59. Eric Decker and Ochocinco were a little bit washed by the time they got to the Patriots, but Decker quit. He didn't even play the season with the Patriots, but he even kind of alluded to he was struggling to learn the playbook and stuff. So, the Patriots have they've drafted. They're terrible at drafting receivers and talented dudes. And I think part of the reason why they had so many struggles is it's not so easy to learn that playbook. So I don't know. Yeah. I think we got to be patient with Mims. And I think as the season progresses, he's only going to learn more of the playbook as the season progresses. Hopefully he stays healthy. And I think you're going to start to see him get more and more snaps. Because one thing we said, whenever he's on the field, he makes plays because he's that talented. Yeah. And he does play hard. So, guys, just, calm down a little bit.
Everybody's track is not linear, in terms of development. Yeah. So especially with him missing time, 2 playbooks in 2 years, it might take him some time to learn that playbook and be flexible. But to say he's a bust already, again, it's not a physical thing. It's not a want to thing in terms of, maybe not want to on the field. At least maybe he doesn't want to learn the playbook. Like maybe he's not dedicated in that way. And maybe that's what Davis was insinuating when he kind of was asked about Mims a couple of weeks ago. I know it was 59. I saw everybody. It was 59 in the draft. So that's pretty late. 123 people in here. I appreciate all of you for sure. Definitely appreciate the support again. And also for talking about the 2-jet, the 3-jet, all this protection stuff and stunts. And this is not the film stuff that we're getting into it a little bit, but subscribe to the website. That's all I ask. Moving on from the offense, we'll go to the defense. We have a caller. It's Sharman. Okay. It says using almond, but it says, okay.
That thing is really bad.
It's bad. It's bad. He has a little bit of an accent though, I don't know where he's from. He's not from, I don't know if he was born here. His family's from somewhere else, but I'm going to ask him anyway. What's up, Sharman?
What's up, Joe? What's up, Kyle? How are you guys doing?
My auto screener has a tough time understanding your accent or whatever that is.
Yeah, I do have an accent. I was actually born on the island of St. Lucia.
There you go. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yep, I remember that because you told me when I was going to Antigua. What's your question, Sharman?
There was a few pundits that mentioned the possibility that the Panthers had a line on the play calling, and that's the reason why they were ultra aggressive. I kind of saw it too in some of the plays where even in play action, it was almost like they were run blitzing or something. There was like instant penetration. What do you guys think?
I want to hit on
it. So the pundits said what exactly? That can you be more specific?
Like
what they might have known about protections and stuff.
Yeah, like they knew the protections. Yeah, like they had a line on what the Jets were gonna do before they did it. Probably in the protection or something like that. There was a tell. Well, or they knew something in advance.
Well, all right. And shout out to whoever said this in the chat. Might have been the CD or something like that. But
CD2K.
Yeah. So Morgan was cut a couple weeks ago now. So, they've had a lot of time to sit down with him and kind of talk about this. And it is a quarterback who's being cut. Like it's it's not super common that during like midway through the season, a quarterback is going to get cut from one team and then he's going to be picked up by another team. But it just so happens that this is right after training camp when teams make cuts, and Morgan just so happened to get cut. And then he's got this big gap where he can go to the Panthers. So, I mean, he had a lot of time to sit down with the coaches and kind of tell them what's what. I mean, it is James Morgan. I mean, like, I know the dude works hard and he's got good character and stuff. And I guess he's relatively smart, but I guess he'd have a baseline level of what the protections are and stuff. So, I mean, I guess that helped him a little bit. I think people maybe put a little bit too much on that. I think a lot of it was the Jets just, were not doing their job properly.
Yeah. I think that, and maybe it was maybe it was a little bit of that. Like they knew they're a little bit of their tendencies, but I think it was a lot of it was just strictly just blown by the Jets offensive line too. Like there were just a lot of mishaps on their part. So, could it have been a small part of it? Sure, but I don't want to wear like the tinfoil hat and say, okay, they knew the entire playbook and stuff. But obviously the Jets adjusted nicely, second half, and I don't know if we directly discussed that, but like just in terms of the coaching staff, this isn't even related to your question at all, Sharman. But like they adjusted well in terms of, I think in the second half, like defense blitzed. I think just in past Jets teams, like they would have quit at halftime, like undoubtedly the last couple of years, even the later years of Rex Ryan, we got absolutely blown out. So I give the coaching staff credit. Now, do they have to sit down and figure out their protections and figure out how they're going to pick up stunts and what the expectations are on how they handle the picker versus the penetrator, or the picker penetrator and the looper? Like they have to iron that stuff out. And, going to next week with literally the smartest defensive coach of all time, or if not the number one of the top ones, he's going to exploit that. So they better get on their shit really quickly. So I think it was more them than the Panthers. Maybe that was like 10% of it, them having some of the calls and some of the tells, like, hey, when you overload this side, this is what they're going to do. They're going to run 2-jet, 3-jet, some combo, type of blocking. But yeah, I guess that's the answer. Sherman, anything else? And by
the way, teams will change their protections too. They can't keep things the same time all season.
No, obviously not.
So the Jets obviously knew that, okay, the Panthers picked up Morgan. So, I mean, there's a good chance they also changed the protection too. And you got some beat writer who is just really trying to come up with a story that is obviously, salacious and will get clicks and stuff. I don't know. I mean, maybe it was changed.
It was somebody pretty.
And
it was somebody
exactly
pretty prominent that said it too. That's the problem.
This isn't exactly protections what I'm talking about, but dude, I was playing in a flag football league and we were playing against a bunch of dudes that don't watch film and stuff. They're just there on the field and stuff. And I'm talking about snap count right now. And we had, so one of the guys who played in college football, like we can go on count 1, 2, or 3. Like Oreo was 1, Reese's was 2, and whatever kind of other candy bar was 3. And by halfway through the game, the team that we were playing against, they eventually figured out what our signals were for what count we were going on and stuff. So you need to change these things every now and then so teams don't pick up on them. So I don't know that people might be emphasizing that shit a little bit too much. And I think a lot of people are also making a lot of stuff. Oh, the Panthers changed their numbers. And I remember them asking Zach about that after the game, and Zach was like, "Yeah, it's not that big of a deal."
Yeah. Sharman, anything else?
By the way, Joe, see you at the game this weekend. By the way.
Awesome. Yeah.
I'll be there too. What am I? Chopped liver?
Kyle, I didn't know you were coming through, man. I know Joe's always around, so
it's
Kyle at the game too.
It's a BYOFB situation. Bring your own food and beer, and you're more than welcome. Again, little catered situation, but just shoot me a DM, Sharman. I'll make sure to let you know exactly when and where. Well, I'll let you know where because I'll be there at 8:00 in the morning. So appreciate you, Sharman, and we'll talk to you soon. I also appreciate the donation too. Definitely.
Oh man, no problem. No big time. Take it easy.
Thanks, Sharman. He did a super chat.
Yeah, in the chat, he did like $10 or whatever it was before.
Oh, sweet. Thanks.
Yeah.
Sharman.
Yeah. Now, like the memes, people are talking about the memes in the chat a little bit, and like again, just simply like, should he be on the field more? Yes. Should he also have a better grasp of the playbook at this point? You'd hope, yes. He has to learn. It is what it is. Like, but moving on. Let's see if there's pretty sure my father's joining us, which means there are two John Hassels out of that 123. 112 now. That's funny if we have a father and son both in the chat, like different rooms.
Are they related to JT Hassel?
I don't know, but now in terms of somebody brought up in the chat too. Now, and this is kind of charming too. Like maybe it wasn't necessarily calls, like whatever you guys did, candy bar, Baby Ruth, whatever it was for your protections or whatever. Now could it be more tendency driven? Like, hey, versus this look, they like to do this because obviously there's different looks to defend different defensive pressures and different defensive looks. So maybe it was more tendency based, not call based. Like there's a little bit of that, I'm sure, but like, did they have the Jets playbook and they knew it? Okay, they're running China here, like no. But moving on to the defense, Kyle. Let's start, I guess, front back, and then we'll hit the Pats game a little bit too. Again, I think I just finished recording and just finished uploading. 3 hours and 28 minutes talking about this game and breaking down play by play. So, do you want to start defensive backs first, or you want to start in the front seven?
Either or is cool with me. Let's start with the front seven.
Okay, go ahead. Thoughts?
Dude, JFM's a beast, man. He
playing
played
at defensive end, Kyle.
Yeah.
Would you retract your statement before? Now maybe he's at defensive end, and you'd have Curry or Huff on the. Well, no, it'd be Lawson. It'd be at the time of the conversation. It'd be Lawson, JFM, Rankins, and Q on the inside. Is that the best?
Well, maybe
sport?
it's still one game, but
Based
yeah, I
on this
mean,
one game?
but Moten is definitely a top 10 right tackle.
He bore his shit up in one play too, where he didn't. I don't think he got the pressure or anything like that. But
he had so many good plays, man. And dude, one thing Fadukasi's good at, and he's a two gapper, so he needs to do this stuff often, is like where he flashes his head in one gap, and then
that one play he was outside, inside, outside. Are you talking about that play?
But JFM, and granted he's going against a tight end, but dude, he had one play where it's all the way out in like a D gap. And he's in the D gap, and then he sees that it's an inside run, and then he's able to crash all the way inside.
This is the player Fadukasi I was talking about, but I don't know if it's it's not the JFM one.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking, yeah, that's one of the plays I was thinking about with Fadukasi. But yeah, he does this shit all the time, man.
Yeah, he's really, really good. But no, JFM played well, rusher passer well. I think again, live, was it disappointing? Yes. Is it still disappointing based on our expectations? Yes. But in terms of I think Huff had a couple of good plays for sure. Even in the run game, he completely tossed the tight end, got on the run on McCaffrey. So I think Huff, Fadukasi, JFM all played pretty well. Shaq Lawson's pretty quiet. He did nice run stuff too, though. So I don't think they played terribly. I would criticize Q, even though he had a couple of pressures, he had a couple of hits. And even Rankins to a certain extent. So I think Fadukasi, again, JFM, Huff, thumbs up. Q and Rankins, thumbs downs based on expectations, but they weren't terrible.
Bro. Elfline reached Q several times in this game.
So I was disappointed in Q and Rankins, like I'm saying. The thing I will give them in terms of pass rush and some things like that, it's not the bearer. I'm just being honest. How many times did the Panthers 3-step drop, hitch, throw the ball, 3-step drop, hitch, throw the ball? Within 2-3 seconds, Sam Darnold had the check down option of McCaffrey, hit McCaffrey. So it is hard, penetrating. I don't know.
By the way, remember I won't say your friends, they need to double McCaffrey.
Okay. So continuing. Yeah. So, I was disappointed, but you have to understand the context. It's not like they were taking 7-step drops consistently and not getting there. They were dumping the ball off, a lot of screens, a lot of option routes. So 90+ degree weather, hot as shit. First game, they keep nickel and diming you down the field. I get why they didn't get a bunch of hits. I know pressure numbers and rush and pressures and hits were all there and stuff. At a certain extent, past the stats, it's get a freaking sack, you got to get a sack. So I get the numbers. So I was disappointed, but rewatching it, I wasn't as disappointed. And at Q, I noticed it during the game. I couldn't tell if it was a limp or gassed, but Q looked, again, either one or the other. he looked really, really tired. So I think for a guy coming back in his first game, didn't play any preseason, missed a lot of camp. First game being in Carolina weather and hot out. I think he was feeling gassed out there. That's my personal perspective. Last year he started a little bit slow in the first game as well against the Bills, and he rounded out back into form. So I'm not worried about Q. I'm hoping he's healthy, and I'm expecting more from both him and Rankins in the future. But again, Fatukasi, Huff, and JFM were pretty damn impressive to me. So,
and it kind of sounds cliche, but it's the damn truth. Like, I don't know that he did so much of it this offseason, but Q last offseason was showing kind of like Le'Veon Bell, a lot of boxing videos and him running on treadmills with like weighted vests and shit. And clearly he was putting in work and I think even Salah said that he lost however many pounds and stuff. So you might think, oh, he's in good conditioning. There's a difference between, running on a treadmill and that type of conditioning versus playing conditioning. And the truth is Quinnen really didn't play all summer football.
Yeah. And
so it would make sense that he'd be a little bit extra winded than some other guys that were playing.
CD, did you just change your handle? Wasn't it like CD2K? Now it's just CD. I guess it's easier to say. I'm pretty sure that's you. I'm thinking it's the same guy. So I know he comments a lot. I just want to make sure. Yeah, he said it was hot. There's like 1 million degrees on the field. Dude, how many times were we sitting in the stands like, excuse my French, but it is fucking hot out right now. Like we were dying up there because we were closer to the freaking sun. We were like, 31 rows up? How many times I go to the bathroom? We were like up the stairs.
We were like 3 rows from the top.
Yeah. Yeah, but people bitch about that stuff a lot, to be honest, like with like looking how far they are. We still saw the game. And next game, by the way, we're definitely gonna be like 20-yard line and into the middle and top 10 rows. I already told Vinny we're sitting closer because those are like $110-ish, 120. It's like it's the same ish price and it's better seats. So yeah, it was hot though. It was really freaking hot. So that gasses players out. And there's a difference again between that conditioning, boxing versus having to rush against whoever, whatever offensive lineman is, doesn't matter. 25 times in the game, 30 times in the game, plus stopping the run, et cetera. And in terms of the defensive line too, just another note, again, taking away some of their effectiveness based on the shorter passes. And another thing I noticed too, and the Pats are going to do this because they're more of a gap heavy team. How many pin and pull runs did you see gash the Jets in that game? Because again, penetrating front, you want to trap them. And that's what they did again, because it's working. It's a penetration. You run past the place you're trying to go, guy pulls, whatever, you don't expect it. You're having your hands, you're off balance, et cetera. I break it down in the film thing, but yeah, so that hurt them. So they're going to have to adjust to that. And Salah said, like, listen, like, and you have to think about it, new defense for the defensive line, like Q and Fatukasi, they're all so used to two gapping. So now they see, trap runs, but they're not overly used to being in typically a 3-4-2 gapping type scheme. It's going to be something they have to adjust to, whether it be combo fronts of maybe Fatukasi more two gapping in the interior, where other guys like, Bill Belichick with those combo fronts or those hybrid fronts type deal, and implement more of that. Are they going to, just teach their guys in terms of, okay, this guard, this tackle lets you right by him, that now you two gap, like now it's an adjustment, change kind of how you're seeing that play. Instead of just trying to push up the field, now try to look back to the gap that you're kind of allowing to penetrate through. If you're rather penetrate through the B gap, maybe it's an interior run, so now stack and get inside. They're gonna have to learn that stuff as a new defensive front as well, so anything else to add on the defensive line? Do you want to just move to the backers or?
Yeah, Huff definitely flashed a couple times. One thing that stood out was like, one pressure he had rushing against Cam Irving, like his hand, he threw his hands really quick. He kind of looked like he was doing some karate stuff, but are you talking
about that's the left tackle when he chopped the outside arm?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that specifically. That play, it was really quick.
Hands are really quick,
and it hit him right. Hit him right on that center point of the wrist and the elbow. So it's good accuracy.
Yeah, he looked more like the Huff we saw on the Giants versus the Huff that we saw against the Packers. There was a big drop off between those two games. I guess we can go to the backers now.
It was 100 degrees. Yeah, Q. I don't think Q is in full football shape.
Oh,
yeah, CD2K.
So hey, Legend Killer said, and
I know I'm going to read it. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just telling you to remind you because I noticed that myself.
I know. Some weeks I do it or forget to. Some weeks I don't. But yes, this will be up as a podcast. If you want to listen as a podcast, I get it. You don't have to necessarily watch. We only put up a few plays, but that was it. There was something else I was going to hit on, but no, I think that's fine. Linebackers, any thoughts on them generically? I know CJ.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. Go ahead.
Go
Say what
ahead.
you're saying. No, you say it.
He graded out poorly,
29 or whatever.
but why? Like, because McCaffrey beat him on an option route or two. Like, it's
That's
McCaffrey.
exactly what I was going to say.
You know, like, it's not like he was missing tackles and doing all this stuff. Like, he looked fast. That play, which, by the way, Ulbrich had some balls. I forget exactly what the look was, but I think they like sugared the A gap with the two linebackers, and he was on man coverage on a tight end on a 3-by-1 set who was completely opposite of him. It wasn't like he was sugaring the right side and then the tight end was on the right side. He was sugaring the right side, tight end to the left side, who was split out like probably a good 10 yards from.
Do you want to pull up the play if you have
the tackle? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I can get that. And showed some good athleticism to close ground and then played the ball well. The ball was overthrown. So I think Mosley, talking about him, I don't think he looked bad, like at all. I think he looked like solid. And for
there
being
was
his
one
first game
play
back
in the run
years.
game. There was one play in the run game, which I would pull up if I could. Next time when you give me sharing permission.
I don't know if I want to give you. You already have your freaking you have a name on here. I'm not gonna give you sharing permission too. You know, baby steps, Kyle.
Okay, Blewett, you're a power hungry man. There was one play in the run game, and he had outside he had out. It was, I'm trying to think. I think it was a tight end who was blocking him, and he needed to maintain outside contain, and he got too far inside, and I think the running back was McCaffrey. Was able to bounce the run outside as a result. But that was the only play in the running game where I really kind of saw him make an error, but he looked pretty solid. Other than that, I don't understand that poor of a grade.
Yeah, like average. If you grade out to like average, okay. Like they got run a little bit, but again, trap runs for a linebacker in a 4-3. Good luck, you know. Screen, like all the stuff we talked about. Like, yeah, he was beat a little bit, but in terms of like saying he was bad, I don't get that. This is the play I was talking about. He's right here. Did I start this late? Yeah, he's right here. The ball is snapped already, but he's in man. Well, so he wasn't as wide as I thought he was. But still, he's in man coverage right here on the tight end, number 3 right here.
Dan Arnold.
And again, good job catching up, good angle, plays the ball really well if it was there, playing through the hands. Like, all really, this is Q wins on here, but two by the way, but the ball is out pretty quick. Like, hell of a job by Mosley. They clearly trust him. But moving on, Delshon Phillips, I thought, I'm sure, I think, I don't know if you're going to watch this review because you already watched the film.
I will. No, I will.
But the Delshon Phillips, was it the last game? Was the Eagles game where I was talking about him and I was like, not impressed. He came in this game, and for what it was, for what I expected of him, I don't think he played terribly. There was a play or two where I criticized him in the review, but overall, for being a guy who's on the practice squad, I thought he played okay. Hamza,
I thought he was much better in pass coverage than in run support. Delshon, much better. Like, there were times when deep crossing routes, like over routes and stuff, where he picked them up and ran right with like the number 3 in the hip pocket. But there were some times in run support where he's completely getting washed out of his gap.
And now in terms of Hamza too, like there was a couple plays in the game where in terms of like recognition, I wanted to see it improve, like awareness, him kind of getting like outflanked to the outside. Like he definitely struggled in the run game, Hamza. Pass game, I didn't notice anything like brutal. But people, and I've heard it mentioned, like, you know, I've heard whatever. Linebackers, you want to hear their name to a certain extent. Pass coverage, maybe not. Run game, you want to hear their names because they're primary tacklers. So didn't see him much, and again, I don't think he played great. So Delshon, you know,
Hamza's a tall dude. He's playing way too high, and he's a
Like
linebacker now.
develop
he's not a
him,
safety now. He's not a safety now, so he's in the box more. He needs to get lower. He's playing way too high. Notice that several times. And he was also, you could tell he's thinking way too much. And I know it's more or less a position change from in college. Like in college, you know, he'd play one high sometimes. He wasn't doing that at all in this game. So I know he's kind of learning. He's a rookie, but he had a slow reaction time on some of these plays.
He was like allowing himself to be blocked, you know, like without like leveraging himself, getting his hands on, because he was like thinking. So he's kind of just like, you like kind of see him and like just like a soft hands, because he's just everything's happening so much quicker. 1, college game to NFL game. 2, again, you know, from safety to linebacker, let's just say like we were talking about a trap run, those offensive linemen aren't coming up to block you, and now you have more reaction. You can close ground while you're reading. Now he has to process a lot quicker. So he's going to struggle at first. And again, for a guy who's so tall, he really starts to use his athleticism, and with using athleticism to take on blocks, this could be the case. I think it kind of is. You have to be more prepared to avoid that blocker. So like you have to almost even be a quick, even like a tick quicker than a guy who might be able to physically out leverage a guy and out muscle a guy, because now they can't close as much ground before you sidestep whatever it may be. So that's another kind of note. So he didn't play great. Holmes, again, for Delshon to come in and play like he did overall, I was impressed. Do I want him as a primary guy? No. But you had Sherwood who went down. There was one play, I think I forget if I talked about it, but there was one play I didn't like of him. Cashman, like, dude, when did he even get injured? You cannot listen, he cannot be on the team next year. He's way too injury. He gets injured like tying his shoe. He really does. He can't be on the team. He has to be gone. He's way too hurt.
How many times have we joked about that in the offseason? And literally I can't even recall a single play where he actually was in. He must have been in, but
maybe it's like a special team snap we didn't notice, because like I didn't notice him on the field.
Yeah, probably.
MN says Mr.
I think the only reason he's really on the team is because they're so thin at linebacker. And Verge pointed out that I guess he's good on special teams, and I don't watch special teams closely enough to really be able to say. But I guess that has to be a reason why he's stuck throughout the years.
Yeah, it's and that's what we talked about, like in our 53-man rush prediction. Like we only had like 5 guys, and I think you only had 4. I was like, dude, I'm concerned about 4 guys, because you're talking about, obviously 2 guys in Sherwood and Homster who are inexperienced. You have Mosley and then Cashman, who, if you had to bet your bank account on him playing more than 3 games in a row to start the season, you're gonna bet no. Like he's just always injured. So they need some linebacker depth next year. They brought in BJ Goodson. Do you have any thoughts on that? I saw he's a good tackler. He has some decent
I couldn't say. I don't really know enough about the player.
Based on what Nania put out, again, I would like to watch myself, but based on what he put out, good coverage numbers, good tackler, I believe. And a guy who's seen plenty of reps. So I'd rather have that than, Noah Dawkins come back, who's never really played any NFL snaps. So and they signed up for they gave him like 2.5 or 2, somewhere between 2 and 2.5 or 2.
Where was he he was somewhere during training camp. Where was that?
I don't know. I forget. Top of my head, I forget. But MN Super Chat, $5. Appreciate that. Says Mr. Danz is saying the Jets will ruin Wilson because they cannot protect him. Want to trade Crowder for an offensive lineman now. Sickening to watch the kid get hit. I think, to be honest, like, sure. If it became like, and Crowder's going to provide a lot to this team, in terms of being reliable. But if this protection continues and you could pick up whatever, just any average offensive lineman during the season who might have some long-term flexibility to like continue with the team, I would trade Crowder for an offensive lineman. If it continues what it is right now, I would. The
problem is it always takes 2 to tango.
Yeah,
you have to have someone who's willing to trade a quality line. If you're giving up Crowder, because listen, Crowder is also part of Zach being protected, because Crowder can help Zach get the ball out quicker, right? Especially on 3rd downs.
Yeah.
So if you're trading him, who are you getting?
Well,
and you bring in a guy to your team, offensive lineman. Okay, so we're talking about picking up stunts and stuff. That was obviously a huge problem in this game.
Yeah.
You think that offensive lineman is about gelling and working together? You think that just happens overnight? That teams build chemistry like that? So even if you trade for a lineman now who's a tough guy, a dog or whatever, there's going to be a learning curve there. So
you'd hope it was from a similar system, obviously. So CD says that the touchdown at Anderson was the reason the Panthers won. It was one of them. Our linebackers this week are against New England tight end are going to struggle.
By the way, kudos to Donald.
Their tight ends and James White. James White's a good receiving back.
Oh yeah, he's definitely one of the better third down backs in the league. That's pretty much all he's good for, because you don't really see him too much on early downs. But kudos to Darnold. I've become known as the Sam Darnold hater, but he slid nicely in the pocket to reset and fire that ball downfield there. So I'll give him credit for that. To Anderson. Yeah,
he did a good job staying square and etc. Somebody's asking me to show that play. I don't know exactly where that is. CD
The touchdown to Anderson?
I think CD is a subscriber. I put it. It's gonna be on there. The website. Blown coverage. Is this it? And somebody's asking N House or Susan keeps spamming. For my flex spot, Tyson Williams, Sterling Shepard, Chenault, Waddle, Miles Gaskin. I don't know if it's PPR. I don't know who their matchups are. I'm not the guy to ask right now. This is the play, right? I think this is it.
Yeah, this looks like it's it.
I can't see the whole screen because all the windows I have up. To me, cover 6. He's matching any stem from the 2 or any vertical stem from the 2, and it's not a blown coverage at all. It's really not. And May, people are trying to blame this on me. This is not on May at all. That's Red Wine's main responsibility right here is anything vertical from the number 2. Same thing with Hall to the top or whoever Guidry to the top right there, which like a 15 whatever yard dig. That's his responsibility now. Now I'm sure if one of these guys were to break in, like they would double whatever it is, but 6 and they're playing 4 on that top, and he's responsible for Anderson. Now the problem is knowing your personnel, knowing who you're going against. If this was a slow plotting receiver, yeah, maybe you could have knees over toes and play it a little bit more aggressively. Rob Anderson is one of the best deep route, maybe not route runners, but deep threats in the NFL. And for him to be square at this, not necessarily square, but square-ish at this point, 4 or 5 yards away from Anderson, him running full speed, you running from a dead stop, bad. You're beat right there. So what does he need to do? He needs to either full-blown backpedal or start to shuffle and just play, contain. Like he might cut to the outside, he might dig, but they have to rally and make the tackle. But at this point, you got to play no shit mode and start running, because the last thing you want to do as a safety is get beat deep. And he's just way too over his toes, way too square, and way too comfortable, kind of like choking up on that route and not retreating. Do you see any different way, Kyle? Like it was just a mental lapse. Like know who you're going against. It's just really bad.
No, I completely agree with you. And going back to what we were saying, the only reason I'm really talking about this right now is because we were talking about like how, and I don't really know about the Panthers playbook per se. I mean, I know a lot of people talk about Joe Brady and stuff and are hyping him up, and he was obviously a coaching candidate for the Jets.
Yeah.
But a lot of teams will teach this, like when you're in a too high shell like this, some of these routes you just might take it in the seam. But when you have a too high like this, yeah, you bend it in between. And that's what Anderson did right there. And yeah, he obviously reacted way too late, was flat-footed. So
yeah. Somebody said
and honestly, dude, it's a good call against that defense for the Jets. And some of it is it's a good design, but also part of it is kudos to Darnold on sliding up. And if the pressure got there, if Darnold didn't have somewhere to slide up into, that play wouldn't have happened either. So that's why there's so many things in football that can change the trajectory of any given play. Yeah.
Eugene said Robbie just won that one. Yeah, he did, but against absolutely terrible deep safety play. That wasn't a good play by Red Wine. Like if he played it better, he just beat him. Like, he caught it over him, like whatever, but he got the door blown off of him, so the door's blown off of him. So moving on to the safeties, Kyle.
By the way, that Red Wine didn't do his job there, but that is not an easy play.
No, it's a shitty position.
That's a very tough play.
And that's what I'm saying. You have to sell out deep. And if he beats you for, on a dig, or which by the way, that was a crease concept. It's like the opposite of Mills. I didn't say that. I don't know if I talk about that in the show. That's what a crease concept looks like. But
and also too, Red Wine,
it's a 3 beater. That's a 3 to 4 beater.
So Red Wine is obviously also concerned that Robbie could break the route outside more towards the sideline. And that's true, but that's a lower percentage throw. Like generally when you play defense, you want to force quarterbacks to make harder throws. It's easier for them to throw in the middle of the field. So just by that, he needed to be playing, with looking more towards Robbie cutting it in the middle.
Yeah. If any, again, shuffle, full blown backpedal, give yourself some cushion, allow yourself to speed turn, whatever it may be. But he just did not give himself enough cushion there. So moving on, The safeties, yeah, it's a concern because like I wasn't overly high on the safety position even before Joyner got hurt, and even before I knew Davis was out there. Like I like the potential of it. I'm not the highest guy.
Did they
on
sign
Marcus
a safety,
May.
Joe?
Gerard Wilson or something like that. He played 1,800 snaps the last 2 years with the Jaguars, so he has plenty of playing experience. But again, world beater? No. Does he have more experience than Redwine and whoever else they're going to bring up? Yes. So it's some veteran experience back there. Def says, if you need randoms to pick your fantasy team, are you really playing fantasy? Yeah. Again, I don't know the situation.
CD said, should Redwine have just committed a pass interference there? I mean, honestly, he could have dove to tackle Robbie before he caught the ball, and truthfully, that would have been better. But he should have played it better from the beginning. Yeah, sometimes, honestly, when you're beat that bad, committing pass. I mean, there's a reason why pass interference is a spot foul, because think about how big it is. If you could just, that's why I don't like college rules pass interference unless they changed it. It used to just be 15-yard penalty. Dude, if it's a 50-yard pass downfield, it should be
all
a
the time.
spot
I'll be telling people to hack guys.
Yeah. Yeah. So sometimes it does make sense to intentionally pass interfere.
Yeah. DEF says also Gaskin. Yeah, that group I would say Gaskin too. But yeah, the safeties again, I wasn't overly high on the group before the injuries. Now Joyner's out for the year. Sucks. When is Davis going to come back? He's still developing. He's still raw. And Marcus May.
Can he come back after 3 weeks?
I think IR is now like 2 to 3. Isn't it like I think it's 3 weeks, right? IR now.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of that.
So week 4, hopefully he can come back. But
hopefully.
he still needs to develop. And Marcus May, he had a couple of good plays in this game. Overall, I put him in a bad list. Like
I wasn't very impressed with him this game.
Interesting. Yeah, like the one play, like specifically, it was a cover 2, and again, there's only 2 guys on his side that he's reading. One of them's a running back. He runs like a flat, a bench, a hook, whatever it was. He runs a shorter route, and his only threat is running directly at him or directly kind of to the outside of him. He doesn't get enough width, and he just runs like a corner route. I think it's DJ Moore, and I think Darnold overshot him. But like in terms of leveraging himself, they didn't leverage themselves properly. 1, and 2, the entire time he was staring at Darnold. He went to go throw the ball. That's when he broke outside. You can't play safety that in the NFL. You just can't. So he had that play. There's a couple plays where I wasn't overly impressed. He had a nice stop on 3rd down, but like overall, for what Marcus May, for some fans think he is, I think he's solid, but that's about it. If solid sometimes. He has some very average games to me. I'm not overly high. So now you have him. You have Davis who's coming back in, let's say week 4, if we had to guess. You have, and then after that, Redwine, Gerard Wilson. So now you're not only talking about, a young linebacking core, injuries on the defensive line, young corners. Like the Jets defense really took some hits. So what are your thoughts, safety position right now?
They've been taking a whole bunch of hits.
Yeah,
it's concerning. I mean, like when Joyner went down, I was like, oh shit. But honestly, when we did our staff projections for JetX, most disappointing Jet, I wrote him down because I didn't think that highly of him to begin with. And part of my thinking was like, well, Davis should get more playing time now. And Davis, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he's better than Joyner. But the question is when the hell is he going to get on the field? And he still has a lot to prove. He's got talent. He definitely has more natural raw talent than Joyner. But, he's got a lot to prove. So,
yeah, and that's the thing, like, too, with Davis, like, people, again, linear progression, all that stuff we're talking about. Coming out of college, what did I say, specifically if you watch the show? He's raw. It's going to take some time. So he comes in his rookie year. He looks raw, a little bit lost at times. That's what we expected. So you can't, he's not like he's a finished product coming to the NFL. Did he, off the top of my head, did he have injury problems in college? People are like, oh, injury bust, all this stuff. Douglas should have known. I don't remember.
Not that I know of.
Yeah, I don't remember him having a lot of injury questions. So you draft a guy who's relatively healthy, and now he comes in the NFL, and do you have a crystal ball? Like, what is he supposed to do in terms of guys who are not injured, who are coming in and getting injured. It's impossible to tell. Now if Davis was, obviously it's a completely different position, but like a Becton type, should you be more worried about Becton even though he didn't have injuries? Can you predict future injuries with Becton more than Davis? 100% that should factor in with a guy who's 370 pounds. But I don't remember Davis having injury questions. So
yeah, maybe someone in the chat would know, but yeah, I never heard of that.
Yeah. May is cerebral, played mental games with Darnold. He is not cerebral. It's just
what mental games did he play? Well, I mean, I think May is a pretty smart safety overall, but in this game, I didn't see mental games being played with Darnold.
Minus him staring at Darnold for the entire rep and only one guy running at him and him having no idea he was there until he saw the ball getting thrown. But sure, I don't know. It is what it is. Let's do the corners, Kyle. Let's get into the Pats game after this. We'll take some more questions or whatever. If you have any questions, we have about 20, 25 minutes. What do you think about the corners overall?
There was some good and there was some bad. Sometimes it's easier to just, why don't you pull up any plays that you could show? There was one. All right. So there was some good and bad from Guidry. That tackle on McCaffrey in the open field was really good.
I think his helmet actually landed on McCaffrey's foot, and that's why he tripped. To be honest, watching it, yeah, but still, again, if he didn't make that tackle, it's a first down on third down. Like he was gone, wide open.
Okay. So there was one play, and I'm trying to, I could pull it up, but I can't share right now. But there was one time. So one of the things you talk about a lot in your film reviews is like cornerback alignments, and you talk about them being in no man's land sometimes and stuff. But one thing I've been studying a little bit lately is like how some teams play divider leverage, depending on, how far the receiver is inside versus how far they are outside. And like the NFL divider rules are 4-2 bottom of the number, depending on like where the ball is on the field, like if it's in the middle or what hash is it on. And there was one time where he was beat on a fade and the receiver obviously stemmed outside. And when the receiver was that far outside, there was no way that Guidry could expect to have safety help in that situation. So he has to use the sideline as his help now. So when you play it like that, you're taught get over the top and stay on top of the receiver. And Guidry has the speed to do that, but he was beat by someone on a fade route.
I talk about Moore on the sideline.
I believe it was probably Moore. Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking. I definitely know.
I don't know if he actually caught the ball.
No, he did. I was on the sideline. If that's the player you're talking about, he caught it. It was a beautiful catch.
So do you not agree with me? It looks like you don't agree with me on that.
No, I get like using the sideline in that situation, especially if he's widening and if you're in his hip, like sometimes you're obviously not able to get over depending on the release. Unless I'm misconstruing what you're saying, but with that play, like it wasn't terrible to me because he was right on him. And from my view of the all-22, it looks like Moore pushed off a little bit. So then he kind of separated a little bit.
Do you have the play?
And then Guidry went to continue to run straight, and he kind of should have felt that Moore was looking back at the ball and geared down and played eyes hands. And he didn't. So it was like a feel thing, but it wasn't. It wasn't brutal, but overall, and I'll pull it up. But overall, again, it has to be relative to expectations. It's not like we have Jalen Ramsey and Patrick Peterson and all these guys. I was ecstatic with the corner play. I'm not gonna lie. Like Michael Carter,
he's
out.
Good. Oh yeah.
He balled out. Like in terms of because condensed splits, whatever it may be.
And they blitzed him a good amount too.
They played him off. And obviously, if you're playing, bunch sets, tighter condensed splits, you want to play guys off. Obviously, you want to play guys on different levels. You play on the same level, switch releases, scissors, whatever it may be. They collide. So you want to take one guy who's more athletic and put him off. Like that's what you should be doing. And Carter was in that role several times where they trust his athleticism to play off. And he played super patient, super square. Like he was the best corner on the team to me this game. Hall played really, really well too. And Guidry, again, for a sixth-round guy, I was impressed.
Film it really kind of matches up with his, whereas Dunn's hasn't really matched up with his college film. Like after you did your Carter review, you're like, yeah, I thought his film was really solid. In terms of technique and stuff.
Yeah. But you're square. Train OP said, free Kyle. Where are we freeing Kyle from?
I guess because I don't have sharing permission.
Oh.
Sam tweeted out from JetX, Sam Cernik. He got mad at me when I pronounced his name wrong. I'm not Croatian. But he tweeted out that one play where Carter was in, I think was it DJ Moore or was it a tight end?
The fade.
You must have that play.
The slot.
Yeah.
The slot fade.
Yeah. Do you have that play?
Yeah, definitely. I 100% have it.
That was really solid.
That was early, so I know exactly what.
Yeah, that was early in the game.
He's
yeah.
here.
There you go.
Yeah.
And this might have been a third down too, if I'm not mistaken.
It is third down.
Yeah.
And like
so this is huge, man. Like, so they're obviously, trying to throw past the sticks, get the first down.
And it's a hard route to defend. Like a slot fade is not an easy play to defend. But even like a lot of people in this, like obviously, it's a slot fade, so Robbie's not going to really push up field just in case it's like a cloud or whatever. You don't want to push him up and let him get underneath. But like for a lot of reps, like did guys necessarily get an extra shuffle in? Did they widen their hands a little bit? Like, yeah, there were some things I criticized in the review, but overall, they like Carter was good this game. So I don't know what his grade was, but if they graded him like bad, I don't see where he was bad in really any aspect. Guidry was good. Hall minus maybe one or two plays where like he was matched up against McCaffrey on one play, and he kind of leveraged himself a little bit too far outside and kind of gave him the inside what they were doing all game. So I wanted to see him either play it heads up or inside out. Again, like you said, outside breaks are harder to throw than inside breaks. So like there was a few mistakes, but like Carter, like again, playing this, like you see him staying square. You see the patience. You see the hands on. And then in terms of just running down the field with the receiver keeping hands on, and then feeling that he's about to jump for that slot fade, and he catches the ball. I think it's an angle right here. You can see it. Yeah, he has the catch, but he plays it really, really well. Again, plays through the hands. He's not able to bring in the ball. Like he balled out.
That's like teach tape right there, man.
Teach tape.
That whole play was exactly
Excellent.
what you want to see.
Excellent. So, I was really enthused with how they played. Now, are they gonna have their bumps in the road? 100%. But like again, even Eccles, who we were really questionable about because we didn't see a lot of his film. He again really well. Hall, he could be a guy who's legitimate starting corner. Like I like if you can walk away from this year, Kyle, and say, and maybe not even Eccles, like let's say Eccles could be a solid number 5 depth guy. You have Hall, who's a legit number 2 starter. You have Carter and Guidry, who could be your 3-4, slot guys who are both solid. Like I would sign for that right now. And based on one game, without obviously they didn't pour a lot of assets into this, that I think Tremaine Johnson's still making more money this year than all the Jets corners. You'd be ecstatic with that. You had a big free agent signing, first, second round pick to this group. Like, I was really, really enthused with that group overall.
And not to make a full on appeal to authority argument, but now we can maybe see why the Jets never did add that veteran corner.
Yeah,
they got these guys in the building for a rookie mini camp and OTAs and things like that. And
yeah,
they must have been pretty impressed with them. And there was definitely some things on some of their college film to be impressed with. And
definitely Carter, definitely Dunn. And I think if Dunn, transition to the NFL game well, hopefully he could be another role player, for the team. Larry.
By the way, shout out to DJ, who thought that Bless Austin was going to be the deciding factor in the Panthers game.
Bless Austin could not play like either one of those 3 guys ever. I've never seen a game like him. Literally, I have not seen a game in 2 years of Bless Austin that was better than either one of Guidry's, Carter's, or Hall's game in this one game. Never. Technique-wise, never.
I agree.
Somebody's talking about something about. I think he's talking about Zach Wilson if he's an accountant. So I don't know. Joe, you uploaded a breakdown of the Panthers game. It'll be come out most likely tomorrow morning. It's up. It's just got to be posted. What's up, everyone? What's up, Jay? I guess he's saying, how about them Jets? I guess he's being a douche, whatever.
Not a Jets fan, I guess.
Yeah, who cares? Yeah, the Guidry tackle. So yeah, I'm definitely happy. Bless would have gave up touchdowns. He would have gave up first downs. He would have gave up slants. He would have gave up fades. He would have gave up digs. He would have gave up outs. He would have gave up posts. He's terrible. The guy's awful. So Again, when people were like, "Oh my God, how'd they cut him? What's wrong with this situation?" There has to be something behind the scenes. Like, no, you're just not watching and you don't understand how bad the guy is. Simple as that. Facts. That's it.
By the way, are you a fan of I forget exactly what they're called, but when you run outside zone and you have someone on the backside and they just kind of do these cutoff blocks where they just kind of get in the way and put their ass in front of the guy in the backside.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of that. There was Becton did that a couple times in this game. And there was, I want to say it was like a crucial third down or something where Becton's just kind of trying to put his ass in front of the guy and he's not obviously not committing to the block. And the guy gets in and makes the tackle. Whereas if Becton was putting full force of blocking him, no way the dude would have made the play.
It obviously depends on like the split and like where they're aligned. Like, could you ask Becton? Like, let's say it's like, and it depends on the play too. Like if it's an inside zone versus a sweep versus a pin and pull versus whatever, it depends on the aiming point of the running back and where that is in relation to the offensive lineman. But like, okay, like he's trying to cut off block a 3-tech on the back side of an outside zone. Is he really going to be able to scooch him? Or really get positional leverage in front of him, or is it best idea for him to just literally race in front of him? Like I in certain instances, I get it, but Jay is a troll, I guess.
By the way, since we were hyping up Michael Carter too, there was another play that I loved, and I would bring it up on the screen if I could right now, where I want to say it was the number 2 receiver. Michael Carter has significant inside shade. Like he's not playing man coverage. Like he's not on him. Mm-hmm. And he works to get outside and he funnels the receiver inside to the safety. It was really, really nice. I don't know if you know what play I'm talking about.
Not off the top of my head.
But it was a nice play. So, and that's something that we hadn't talked about yet.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out how to ban trolls in here. I'll figure out eventually, but yeah, Kyle.
Well, the moderators can do that. Mike,
I don't know if they're all in here, but yeah, Kyle, worst YouTube channel out there. Just by the way, we got that award now. And then
why are they on it then? I wouldn't even bother on the worst YouTube channel
because IQ is 4. Yeah. So what y'all really think about our GM? Y'all still delusional or are eyes open now? Dude is supposed to specialize in drafting and he's been terrible. And he's cheap as fuck. He wasn't really cheap this offseason. 1, 2, you're grading his drafts after what? We just saw Hall perform really well. We just saw about Hall, Eccles, Michael Carter, who were all drafted by him, who played really well. What about Huff, who had a couple of pressures in this game? Like what? He's terrible because of what? Becton got injured and Mims isn't playing. Like now you can make arguments with again, Morgan and P. Ryan and whatever, but like, yeah, Davis went down because of injuries. He's terrible. Like just people are just whatever. Yeah, there you go, Mike. Just.
I've been pretty pleased with Joe Douglas's draft so far.
Moving on. Anything else you want to hit on for this game before we head to we have 12 minutes left. Anything you want to hit on?
I know
you're
on more of a time crunch than me, so address whatever you think is most prescient.
Yeah. I'm not going to take this because I don't have a good feeling about it just because based on the chat. But we have a caller who says who almonds from unknown. Yeah, we have 10 minutes left. I'm not even going to take it. Let me see. Yeah, no more calls. Drop call. Okay. Sorry. If that was somebody who legitimately wants to call, I don't know, but who almonds, like maybe there was something else, but unknown usually means it's like a, what is it called? Prank call or, whatever. Which by the way, if you're doing that with your life, especially if you're over like 12 years old, reevaluate, get a hobby. So Patriots game, overall thoughts, feelings. Yoshi asked a question, how do we beat the Pats? We're going to talk about that right now. Score, which by the way, Kyle, I just did this pick'ems. You got to send me your picks. Obviously, you'll listen and send them to me.
Did you send them to me?
I do. No, just if you watch, obviously, it's easier for me to not have to send everybody. But moving on, I know Verge is in the pick'ems. By the way, everybody first week we had 10 games. Everybody either went 4-6 or 3-7. Nobody got even 500 because that's week 1.
Wow.
Oh, the caller was Huff. I'm sorry, Huff. If you want to call back in for like, I could literally talk to you for like 2 seconds, Huff. But other than that, I can't do much. But again, because I'm having until 9 o'clock. If he calls in, I'll take it for a second. But Kyle, overall thoughts on the Pats game?
I think the Jets played the Pats pretty well last year. I mean, when you talk about, the Jets got their asses kicked in both Dolphins games. They got stomped week 1 by the Bill. I mean, in terms of the division, the Jets played the Pats pretty well last year. It's hard. I haven't really watched a lot of Mac Jones. I didn't watch a lot of his college tape. I hadn't really watched him in the preseason. I know that people are saying he's played well. Supposedly he played well last week. So I can't really give a good assessment on him. I'm still not super impressed by the receiving core. I know they added the 2 tight ends, so that's something to be concerned about.
Yeah.
The Patriots kind of revamped, especially their offense, but I almost want to say the Jets match up well, but then again, do they? I'm not so sure, but it is
considering the state of the defense. I think if anything, they probably match up not very well. If you're really looking like
explain why.
Because the Jets' greatest strength, the defensive line, is Huff called next week. Yeah, Huff. Make sure to call. I again, 10 minutes left. I thought it was going to be one of these douches in the chat, so definitely call back next week. That's my bad. Because the Jets' greatest strength is their greatest strength in terms of like offense versus defense. So I feel like they can.
And theoretically, the Pats' O-line should be even stronger than it was last year because Andrews missed the whole season last year because of some kind of big issue. And now they have Trent Brown at right tackle as opposed to Wenu, who is technically a guard, and now he's playing where he's more naturally better. So
you have that. So that negates, and then our biggest weakness is what? How about them Jets is trolling? Yeah, I don't know if the one guy was trolling, by the way, so don't be too quick. But like the guy who comes in here and says it's a terrible YouTube. Like, yeah, of course. But but now in terms of like our weaknesses, like I am very concerned all year about tight ends because of the linebackers. The linebackers are like brand new. We don't really have anybody in there, minus Mosley and Homs as a 5th or what is a 6th round pick. So you can't expect so much in his year 1, paired with a running back who is the reason the Pats won Super Bowl, whatever that was, against the Falcons, where he had like 15 catches or whatever freaking crazy number it was. Good running back, good tight ends versus an inexperienced linebacking core and a bunch of safeties who were just brought off the street like 3 minutes ago. Yeah. I'm concerned. So that, and then, now the receivers aren't the strongest. So like, we cancel them out maybe if our corners play the same, but now transitioning to the defensive side of the ball, it's Belichick. You have a team who struggle to pick up stunts and fronts versus Belichick, the smartest defensive coordinator or defensive mind ever. What is he going to do versus our protections? So I'm definitely concerned about this game.
And they love to trot out that stat of Belichick's record against rookie quarterbacks.
Yeah, and I'm not. And Big Green says, Patsy Line, are you worried? I think they have a bunch of like decent players like Goddux and whatever, Dietrich Wise. Like they're all decent. I'm not concerned about talent one-on-one. I'm concerned about their play calling.
So they have Judon this year, who they didn't have last year, and now they also got and they got this guy Uche who didn't play last year, and I'm not gonna act like I watched a lot of him, but from the couple little highlight clips I've seen, he's got good explosion.
Well, that they added
coming off the edge.
Hightower's back, Van Noy is back. Uche. You have like their defensive line. Like they added that defensive tackle in the end of the first round, or maybe the early second. I'm blanking on his name.
Barmore, who balled out in the playoff games last year in college football.
Yeah, and then you have Goddux, you have Wise, you have Chase Winovich. Like their defensive front is solid in itself, and
their secondary is obviously still solid. Gilmore ain't Gilmore of 2-3 years ago, but he's still a solid corner.
Eagle said, "Hey guys, streaming. I'll be on to watch go Jets beat the Pats." Yeah, Eagle, what the hell? Hour and 54 minutes. You haven't been here yet. Disappointed. He doesn't like us after the fantasy, and I'm supposed to.
I stomped him really bad this week.
I'm supposed to beat him by like 22, which is a lot in our league. Kind of. We'll see. But yeah. So the key is like obviously be able to run the ball, and running the ball, it was bad this week, but it was more on like one guy. Like it wasn't like a whole. I think it wasn't a whole group of guys to me when I watched. And the running backs, like some of Coleman's vision, I'm not the biggest fan of his vision. Like there's two plays I brought up. So you have to run the ball. You can't put the Jets in consistent passing situations, in terms of like 2nd and 10, 3rd and 10, because then they're just going to be able to run crazy on the defensive front. So run the ball well, control it, take some deep shots so they're not stacking up the box. And then on defense, I think you're gonna play a lot of man coverage. To make press, blitz, to not give Mac Jones a ton of time. Listen, we have a rookie quarterback, so do they. So confuse them with some robbers, some peelers, like things like that. But don't just let them dink and dunk you all day and put guys in zone coverage versus Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry and James White. Like I want to see Marcus May in the box playing some man coverage. I want to see CJ Mosley in the box, obviously playing some man coverage. Even Hampstead to a certain extent, like he can match up with these guys man coverage. Like, don't think about it, just play coverage. Like that's where his safety instincts kick in. So yeah. I want to see man on the tight ends on the running backs. I want to see blitzes. I want to see press. I want to make Mac Jones beat us deep, not short dink and dunk, because the Patriots have been doing dink and dunk shit for 20 years now. They will eat you alive. So anything else, Kyle? Then we'll close. Again, that's a pretty quick recap, but we'll obviously, actually you won't be here next week. You'll be here the week after. So
yeah, I think I pretty much kind of agree with what you're saying. Like, blitzing, obviously, like if you get caught in a blitz, you can get burned for big plays, but a rookie quarterback's going to be less cognizant to recognize those blitzes. So sometimes, when you don't match up as well, it is a good strategy because a rookie's going to be less likely to see that blitz. So I think it would be good to be a little bit more blitz heavy against him.
Yeah, did we ever say Gilmore? Did you say Gilmore is in? Everybody's saying Gilmore is out.
Is he out? I didn't know he's out.
Oh yeah, he's out. I didn't realize you even said that. Yeah, he's out. So it's J.C. Jackson, but like
so he got hurt last week.
No, I think he was hurt in the offseason. He wasn't going to be playing for like the first couple of weeks before the season.
I must have totally
missed that. And another thing I noted on the show was when I did the breakdown, in terms of like breaking down the game a little bit. Again, usually I spend like 3 hours on the actual game and like 20 minutes on the pad or the next opponent. But the thing too with this defense is Belichick is famous for taking away your number 2 and sometimes even your number 1 and your number 2. So at least another receiver is gonna have to step up, whether that be Crowder, Cole, Moore. One of them's gonna have to have a game because they're either gonna lock J.C. Jackson on Davis, who apparently he struggled last week, or he struggled when Gilmore's out. I'm not sure about that. Nonetheless, they're going to do that, or they're going to like cone or bracket Davis, and they're going to make your backup options beat you. So another receiver, whoever that may be, probably Crowder, I think is going to have to eat a little bit this game.
Yeah. He's done that a lot of times, and their call is like one double jersey number, and sometimes they'll actually double your number 2. And well, they did that with Robert Woods in the Super Bowl, but yeah, Belichick does like to do that.
Alex says, I don't get why you hate Coleman so much. Like, he's not great, but he's probably the best we got right now. 1, no. 2, watch the review of his tape that I broke down from 2019, 2020, and watch some of the stuff I break down of this game. His vision's not good. His strides are way too long. He plays way too high. So he's a guy you want to just slam a hole, fine. But in terms of like him being patient in zone, shortening his stride and being able to hit cutbacks and things like that, he's just not your guy. He's not good. He's just not. Okay, Kyle, anything to,
I think we're good. I mean,
yeah,
we need to run.
Yeah.
If there's any pressing things in the chat, I mean, otherwise I guess we can close it out.
No, and I said till 8. So like, again, some weeks can be strict till 8. Again, depending on if I have work, what my schedule looks like, some of them will be 3, I'm sure 4 freaking hours sometimes. But yeah, Kyle, just last words and we'll close out.
Yeah. So like Joe said, he's going to be uploading it on podcasts too. So like for some of you guys who, it's mostly just audio, Joe and I talking. I mean, there are a couple of plays here and there that are brought up on the screen, but if you think like, 2-3 hours, that's too long for me, I can't sit and watch it that whole time. But if you want to just listen, check it out on the podcast, Blewett Blitz. Or if you have YouTube and you have YouTube Premium, you can just download the video and you can still listen to the audio while you're driving or whatever. That's all I got to say.
Who's our best running back? Ty Johnson or Michael Carter, I guess. But Yeah, I appreciate everybody for listening. 100 plus people for a lot of it. Again, appreciate the support. Go watch the breakdowns. If any of you are going to the stadium, you need a place to tailgate, you want to stop by, whatever it is, DM me if you want to just say hello, drink a beer, shotgun a beer, whatever you want to do. I'm down. And again, watch the review, and I will be back. Kyle will be back in 2 weeks. I'll be back next week with Nania and Sabo, or just me and Nania breaking down that game and taking questions, calls, etc. So definitely appreciate you guys, and we will see you later.
Peace.